We live?
Yes.
Okay, we're live. Or I'm told we're live at least. So, hello stream. This is going to be Celeste Any %. So what Celeste Any % is we're going to start from the start of the game and go through the first 7 chapters. And that gets you to kind of the end of the story. Yeah. Right. I'll explain some of the stuff I'm doing as we go through. There's not too many fancy techniques. Just applying them in different. So, Celeste is a platforming game. You can do your traditional platforming things, you can walk around. You can climb things. There's gonna be a lot of things. I'm gonna skip all the cutscenes because they go fast. The in-game timer doesn't apply. Cutscenes, so what sets Celeste apart from like your Super Mario Bros. Or Super Meat Boy is the dash mechanic, which you see for the first time right here. And the dash is you can dash in one of 8 cardinal directions.
Just turn up audio a bit because you're a little hard to hear.
So I talk quiet. I also have headphones in, so I can't hear myself.
What's the name of the game?
Celeste.
So yeah, as I was saying, you have a dash. You can dash once before you touch the ground again, or a few other mechanics that we'll see in a bit. So you have to be careful how you use it, and that was a great start. So there's some fancier things you can do using the dash. If you dash and then jump, you keep your momentum. So I'm going to be using that a lot to cross gaps that I wouldn't normally be able to. And it's also, the dashes like that are faster than walking, so... Yeah, there's a lot of dashing. Jumping. So right there, there's a separate technique called a wave dash, where if you notice, it might be hard to tell because I'm going so fast, but there's a time after you dash that you can't reset your dash by touching the ground. So you need to stay on the ground for a little bit to reset it. But by... That's how we do that, right? So by dashing diagonally into the ground like that, and then jumping, we reset the dash. So we get to use the second dash like that. And I'll be doing that in a few other places in a few different ways. There's a couple of them there, but I can point some out as we're going forward. So that's chapter 1. So one of the cool mechanics, or cool things about this game is that each chapter introduces kind of a new mechanic that you have to deal with. So in the first chapter, it's the kind of spikes are introduced, the springs are introduced, and those blocks that, like, when you grab onto them, they move, or when you stand on them, they move, are introduced. So chapter 2 has its own unique twist. We'll get to that in a little. So that's an instance right there where I delay jumping off the ground so that I can get my dash back and use it to cross that gap I wouldn't normally be able to. So now we can see, we just went through kind of the first part of the level pretty quickly. We can see that there's these blocks that when we dash into them, they kind of send you in a straight line. It gives you your dash back at the end too, which is kind of important, but start. But if you dash into it and there's a wall on the other side, you die, so you should be kind of careful about how you're dashing. We can also see that there's this kind of ghost chasing me, and if the ghost catches up to me, then I also die. So I have to go kind of fast. But it's hard to go fast and not make mistakes. This part we're just kind of skipping all of the stuff over there. You can do that. You would do that if you're playing casually. This controller has a little bit of a weird thing. The stick holds up. That doesn't affect me on my computer, but it is here. That's okay. I can adapt. And you can see that there's more and more ghosts as we go through, but now we're kind of to the end of that section. So, no more ghosts. Chapter 2. So I guess a little bit about the kind of story for the game, since we won't be seeing any of the cutscenes. The story is you're climbing a mountain, and that's kind of it. You run into a few characters on the way. We'll be seeing one of them. Chapter 3 is coming up right now. I guess there was already one character introduced, which is the purple version of you. It's kind of she'll be a recurring character for the game. So chapter 3, more mechanics are introduced. One of them is those keys right there. You have to collect the key and then take it to a door. So we'll have to collect a few keys throughout this chapter. Keep our keys. I guess something that was introduced in Chapter 1 that I didn't mention is those dash crystals, those green crystals that you see. And those crystals, what they do is they refill your dash, which is kind of useful, and it lets you... levels have kind of more insane jumps that you have to do. You'll see when we get towards the end of the game, then there will be a lot of places where there's no floor, there's just dash crystals, and you'll be kind of on top of things. What am I doing? What am I doing? That's another instance right there of using the dash refill. They're delaying the dash so I can, or the jump, so I can get a dash refill across that gap. So this is the character I mentioned we'd be getting introduced to, Mr. Oshiro. So Mr. Oshiro owns the resort that we're in right now. He's trying to get us to stay, and we don't want to stay because we want to climb the mountain. So he keeps kind of leading us around, trying to get us to clean things because it's a pretty messy resort. So that's what we're doing right now, is we're cleaning up the resort. Slow. There we go. That was another instance where the controller killed me. Up and making it climb up there. Here's another technique. That was it. You just missed it. There's a little bit of leniency if you jump upwards into a spike wall with horizontal spikes on it, in that you can... There's a little bit of room to jump off the wall, so that's what we did there to save going around the rest of the room. And I guess one of the other techniques I haven't explained at all that I've been doing a lot has been these dashes upwards against a wall and jumping off them. That's a wall boost, and it lets you get a lot more height and a lot more speed off your... And it's useful in many, many, many places, because there's a lot of climbing in this game. So the area we were in is kind of like a area you get to choose which way you want to do things. So there's 3 different paths, and we keep revisiting this center area. We've done 2 of them now. The order is just chosen to make it the fastest. So if you do this casually, then you may not do things in the same order. And kind of a cool mechanic is that you can see that things are getting put away as you complete these areas. So you have to complete 3 different ones, but it gets harder as you do it, as you complete things, because different platforms may not be there. And the speedrun route is just mostly taken so you are minimizing the time in this room right here, because this is the room you keep coming back to, and you have to talk to Mr. Oshiro and get another cutscene every time you complete one of the special areas. So now we've done some cleaning up, he's going to take us to the room he wants us to stay in. These new? I don't remember. No, these appeared in Chapter 2 too. So those are kind of blocks that stay in your way until you collect all the keys. You have to collect them without dying, so we'll see those in a few places. This is a room where wall boosts are pretty noticeable. Because doing that a different way would be a lot slower. I'm gonna take an intentional death here to reset the cycle of these, I call them dust bunnies moving back and forwards, because we're trying to do that in a quick way, so that we can just jump across those platforms instead of spending any time waiting for things. And it's easier to do from them being in a specific place, so that's why I take a death. I'll do a couple more intentional deaths. Actually, I did another one when I got the key. If you collect a key and then reset, you keep the key. Oh, that's unfortunate. So that we reset immediately after getting the key, so we go back to the start of the room. And don't have to deal with getting back across. So now we've upset Mr. Oshiro because we really don't want to stay and he really wants us to stay. And now he's angry and is chasing us. We said some mean things to him. So his anger is kind of justified. So now we're trying to escape. Usually isn't that close, I wonder why. It's this close this time. Wow. Uh-oh. It's not how I normally do that room. There we go. That is unfortunate. Okay, there we go. So this is the 3rd time I'll do an intentional death. Actually, the only other time I'll do it in the game. And it's just to reset the room cycle again. I'm gonna stop trying that jump. Slow way. It's okay. I guess in case you haven't guessed by now, you die a lot of times in this game. It's a fairly difficult game, though it has kind of a ramp up. A lot of the times I'm dying are because trying to do things quickly, and doing things quickly when the game is trying really hard to kill you means you die a lot. And actually, it has like little tips about kind of the game before each chapter, and one of them is be proud of your death count, because you'll die. So, going to Chapter 4 is Golden Ridge, we'll see immediately a new thing, and that's clouds. You can jump off clouds. You can also dash off clouds, which is kind of cool, which you'll see in a bit. Then we also have those green orbs, which you hold a direction after you enter them, and they send you a direction. So you use those to solve puzzles. We'll see them a lot right here. Next turn. What am I doing? So right here, we can use them to destroy all these blocks. That's an instance of dashing off clouds. Oh, and I guess also the obvious thing is the wind. The wind blows you in different directions, so it can be a little bit tricky to control. Here we'll see dashing off clouds put to great use. So I mess it up. There we go. Here we'll see the second instance of jumping off of a wall with spikes on it. That's the only other time we'll do it. You actually keep momentum across screen transitions, so we can use it right there to get a boost on the next screen to kind of skip how you're supposed to solve the puzzle. Roller's gonna move these blocks. That's... waiting for platforms to slow, so we skip it. We can kind of use the momentum. So if one of the things is momentum from other things moving you, is preserved too, so we can use that block pushing us to get a lot more speed and jump a lot farther there. And here is another instance of using, oh dear, okay, we're gonna do the original way. But you can jump straight from that cloud over to the area on the right without going up above. And here we're going to use kind of refreshing your dash to skip some parts. Oh, and I guess Chapter 4 also is introducing these blocks that move when you stand on them, which I guess I didn't explain, but I kind of feel like it's obvious what they do. Some of the blocks you can move up. They will always move in a direction, but some of the blocks you can... Stop fighting me there. Some of the blocks you can move, I guess, at an angle, and some of them you can't. And it depends. There's like a kind of an outline that tells you which is which. This room is on a cycle, so it actually doesn't matter that I missed one. Now we kind of got into the part where the wind is really strong. So dashing is really good for this section because it kind of avoids the void, avoids dealing with the wind. Also, we have these snowballs coming at us. Uh-oh. They can be kind of annoying because they can come even when you're on like the right next to the edge of the screen and just decide that you have to do the screen over again. Right now I'm like holding full to the right, the wind is so strong that I'm not moving at all. I have to use my dash. That's what I'm talking about. Not much of a fan of the snowballs. Kind of skip all this stuff down the bottom there. I guess you can kind of see all these strawberries that we're not getting. Strawberries are kind of a collectible in the game that you can go for if you feel like. They're usually in hard to get spots platforming, so they're just kind of a fun challenge for playing the game casually. We will get one of them during this run, because it happens to be along the way, but we're not going to go out of our way for it. So now we're getting to kind of the Mir Temple. Mir Temple is supposed to be this kind of spooky area. It introduces a few new things. First one is these blocks that move when you dash, so you can use them immediately to get momentum, which is what I did. Now we have these red orbs, which are kind of like the blue orbs, but they keep going until you hit something. So the Mir Temple is kind of laid out in a way it's supposed to be like a maze, or like a hub area, but we're gonna skip most of that. You're supposed to have to like go find a bunch of keys and unlock a bunch of doors to find red orbs, but as it turns out, when I get it, uh-oh. As it turns out, you can just kind of skip that. Doing that jump. And I guess it also introduces these buttons that unlock doors, or unlock like gates. It turns out Theo, who I guess we didn't really meet because I keep skipping all the cutscenes, is now trapped, and we're trying to figure out how to free him. And that's kind of what this is about, or what this chapter's about. There we go. I didn't realize how many times you want to like kind of hang on a wall. It doesn't affect like normally playing the game, because I'm using the D-pad, and the D-pad to override it. Control stick, unless I'm not pressing anything. Which is happening when I'm just kind of staying in place. I guess these shurikens are also the new, kind of like the... They're kind of like dustbin sweepers. You just have to dodge them. There we go. Unless I do that. Okay. So now we're getting kind of the second part of the stage. We found a mirror. Might help rescue Theo, but it's kind of a weird mirror, and it's going to put us in a dark world. Things are going to get a lot spookier. You can immediately see the change in kind of like the background. And we also can see the purple self that showed up again. And the music has gotten a lot spookier. So the nice thing about those blocks is that you keep your momentum. So we used the... if you jump off them. So we use the momentum there to go really fast. I guess you might have seen that a few times already. And now we also have to deal with these kind of eyeball things. I don't know what the proper name for them is. So they are trying to kill us. Not very nice. And they also have these kind of destructible element stage now. That isn't how you normally do that though. But they can also hit these switches, which we can use there. We use them to hit that block up there. Is it? It saves time going here. So now we're back at kind of another hub area. You're supposed to find some more keys. Takes a long time. But we're trying to go fast, so we're not going to do that. We're just going to kind of skip everything. We skip a lot of this level. It's kind of how it's organized. So now there's a switch hidden in this block here. We have to use the eyeball dude to open it up before we can switch. Now the last mechanic of this is, we found Theo, but he's kind of trapped. So we have to figure out how to, we're trying to escape, but we have to take him with us. So we have to pick up Theo and kind of carry him. And the fastest way to do that is kind of throw him and then dash into him. Because you get kind of a boost when you pick him up. We can use the eyeball dude there to... That's not... Theo can also hit switches, which... There we go. Is useful. He can also hit those, he weighs a lot, so he can hit the, kind of the things that open the doors. So right there, I'm going really fast because you get momentum from picking up Theo, and you get momentum from jumping off the block that's moving, so you get a lot of speed, and those add. Whoops. I guess also if Theo dies, you die. That's not how I normally do that, but okay, that's fine. There we go. That's chapter 5. So we're 27 minutes in now, and we have 2 chapters left. So you might have noticed the chapters are getting longer and longer as we go. So Summit, the last chapter, is actually about a third it. So now we're in Reflection. What Reflection introduces is, first thing is these feathers, so we can fly. Attention. You get straight up to this feather. Second thing, I guess water has been around, but this is the first time we ever like travel in water. And then we have these blocks, which you bash into them, and then they try and chase you. So we have to use that to kind of solve puzzles. Not in the Untitled. Oh, I'm not paying attention again. So here we're going to use a technique called neutral jumping. If you hold a direction and you jump off a wall, it pushes you kind of far away from the wall. But we don't want to go far away from the wall, we want to stay next to the wall, so we can climb. So normally you wouldn't be able to climb up by just wall jumping off the same wall. You'd have to... you'd eventually run out of stamina, which I guess I never explained. Stamina, you have a certain amount of stamina. You lose it by jumping off walls like this, by just holding onto walls and climbing up. So we had to manage that in a few places, and that's one of them, where we are using a technique that doesn't use stamina to climb, so that we can climb up there. Otherwise you'd have to detour through this like giant way. I've actually never gone that way before, so it'd be an interesting adventure that would take. So then the last another mechanic is these kind of blue things that we bump into. They refill our dash, but they push us away. But we can use this to get speed like that and kind of fling ourselves across the room. They can also knock you out of feather form, as demonstrated here. It's not protection. There we go. I guess you can kind of see there's just split paths a few times in this level. Let's take the way that goes the fastest. Kind of like what we saw back in Chapter 3. 3 areas we had to go through. That's never happened before. That's also never happened before. I'm having trouble with the stick. So this is a cool room in that you're supposed to go like kind of weave left and right. But they left these little tiny gaps, and luckily there's walls there that you can use to line yourself up. And that one you can just kind of freehand, but you have space. This is like kind of designed with skipping it, and otherwise you have to like go all the way to the right, all the way to the left, and back and forth. So now, this is kind of the confrontation with the purple version of ourselves. We just have to run into her, but she's trying to crush us with blocks. She's trying to shoot these orbs at her. I am having this. Now she's gonna start shooting lasers at us. He's not very happy with us. Oh, wow. That's fine.
I saw him.
Uh-oh. Kind of got into the last section of this fight. She's like really trying to kill us with all these moving blocks. Oh no.
For both these.
Last room. There we go. We did purple form. Now we get kind of a cool mechanic in that we get a level up. Second dash. So now we can use this to climb areas that normally would be impossible. I think this entire area is probably impossible. Second dash. Gives more opportunity for really difficult levels. We'll kind of see going into the last area called Summit. So Summit is a kind of a cool level in that it sort of revisit everything that you've gone through so far. So we'll see kind of remixed versions of all the previous chapters. starting with chapter 6. So it goes 6 and then 1 through 5. Because the 6 is kind of set at the bottom of the mountain. So now we've gotten to the version of chapter 1 that we saw, so now the kind of the mechanics from there have returned. But in more difficult ways than chapter 1. Oh, if you also are paying attention to the music, it's going to change every area we pass into. So all the kind of the themes from the other stages are mixed in here. It's fine. We're gonna play it a little bit safe. It's faster to not die. These fast-moving dust bunnies are kind of hard to deal with. And now we're going to switch to some... So. Now we're gonna kind of take a shortcut. That's not how you're supposed to do that section. It's significantly faster. Oops. Cool.
No.
So here's the only strawberry we will. Oh my god. It's fine. The only strawberry we'll collect in the game. It just happens to be faster to go that way than the intended way. Well, I guess they're both intended, but it's faster to go that way than the way without the strawberry. Uh-oh. That was an instance of a snowball deciding that it's going to complete the room. I'm gonna wait for it this time. There we go. Here's another one of those blocks that you have to hold a direction on. You can see that the controller is fighting me. And that's what happens if they run into a wall, is they kind of die and you have to go back to the start. This part we're kind of shepherding this block through. So we can get up through the end there. Oh no. That was interesting. So sometimes you can get a boost off corners like that if you hit them in a particular part of your dash. That was what happened there, and it launched me a lot further than I expected. There we go. Wrong type of jump. Okay. It's not how I'm gonna normally do that. We need to use this red ball to go up here, get a key. You can actually get that key without doing that. I'm not very good at it. Okay, we're fine. That's not how I normally do that, but we can improvise. Now we're kind of getting into the last area of the game. So this is past all the... We've been through all the remixed versions of things. We're kind of like approaching the summit. And now we can see, kind of see the countdown with these flags here. There's 30 of them total. We're at 28 now. Now you can kind of see the wind is blowing downwards at us, which makes our jumps not go very far, or far upwards. But our dashes are still fine, so there's a lot of dashing in this section, and I'm trying to overcome the fact that you can't. And now we're gonna get the section, the updraft section, where instead of blowing down, the wind's blowing up. It means you float a lot. You can kind of see that the level design is getting kind of crazy because we have all this floatiness. And because we're getting toward the end of the game. Okay. There we go.
Oh, we go.
And there we go. So that is 53 minutes. It is slower than I would have liked, but that's okay. Either let the credits play out or I can just skip them. Because that's faster. And we're running up right around an hour. Go. End screen. There we go. Awesome, that would be all from me.
Oops. All right, we're just gonna get set up here for the next segment real quick. In just a moment, we'll break. We'll break back to the little ads. Yeah. Big shout out to everyone who's participating in this. It's been a great event so far. So I'm going to take a moment to shout out to everyone who's donated so far. So big thanks to Dan, Nate, Jonathan, and then I think there might be one that I'm missing. Hang on, let me screen back. And Claire, yes. Thank you all for your very generous donations. All right, one moment. All right, so we're just going to take a few minutes here, get the next segment set up, which is Overcooked on Nintendo Switch. So we'll be right back.